everyone. I am Zazubaar. Joining me, as usual, I have Dylan McCandless, aka Super DM64.
I am usual, aren't I?
Yeah, you are pretty usual at this point. You're on more of my videos than I would say I am. Like, I make more videos with you than I do solo videos, and I put out more podcasts than I do solo videos.
Okay.
And
By
I
that logic,
appear on more podcast, and you appear on more podcasts than I do solo videos. So
okay, that makes sense.
it works out in the end.
At first, when you said I'm in more videos on this channel than you are, I thought, how does that work?
By average, you actually might be at this point.
No, like if you're comparing these to like solo videos, then I get it. But like you're still on these, which is why I got confused by the statement at first.
I'm just saying. Well, my point was though that like, if you factor in the podcast time, this is gonna get complicated. Nobody's gonna give a fuck.
We're dwelling way too long on this.
Yeah, fuck it, fuck. Nobody cares. Welcome to the next installment of the Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective, issue 4. We're back at you a little bit more, less than a month, sooner is what I meant to say, than we usually are after we do these, because we put out the last one a little bit later than usual, and by a little bit I mean like 4 weeks. So we decided to come back at you with this one as we would have recorded it anyway, and if you are somebody who liked the Godzilla Odyssey homepage on Facebook, you're getting this fucking early. You're getting this like the night of, if not the day after we recorded it. How cool is that, kids? You're getting like exclusive, like really fresh content. I'm tired. Dylan, how are you feeling?
Bill has nothing else to do but edit because his phone broke, so you're gonna get it very soon.
That's true. This is literally the only thing I have to keep me occupied. There definitely aren't people in my house I could talk to. You know, physical activities I could be doing.
If he's not editing, he's just sitting on his bed staring at his toys. And after a while, you know, you can only stare at your toys.
They start to stare back.
You can only stare at your toys for so long.
And then they start to judge you. So, Dylan, it's issue 4 of our Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective. Which universe was Godzilla supposed to dip into this time?
Well, this is an interesting one. I'll just come right out and say it. Godzilla goes to the Marvel Universe this time. Now, the reason that's interesting is that
I love it. It's just been us going, let me explain this in a really convoluted, clever way, and then we just go, oh, let me just say it.
No. It is very interesting. I just thought I would say that and then explain why.
Oh no, you made the smart choice. Thank you.
It's interesting because it's already happened before.
Yeah, it has, and in a really cool way, because the Marvel Godzilla series, which I've talked about on this channel before, is basically Godzilla going on a road trip through the Marvel Universe. He goes from the west coast of the US to the east coast and meets up with a whole bunch of Marvel characters along the way. Now, every issue is not him crossing over with a Marvel character. It's, you know, it's a whole bunch of different stuff. It was supposed to be an ongoing Godzilla book. So it's not just like it was just sold on the novelty of Godzilla crossing over with the Marvel Universe.
They were kind of wanting to like make Godzilla just like a regular part of their universe. It seems like.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, you remember that Tony Isabella panel we went to at G-Fest. I mean, he filled a lot of those gaps in.
Which is something they tried to do with a lot of movie franchises, and it never really seemed to work out for them. They had the Star Wars comics for a little while, and you know they did Transformers comics. Nothing's ever really stuck around except for Death's Head. What a weird character.
Yeah, well, Death's Head was created in those comics. They copyrighted him, and then they used him in other stuff, so they got away with it. It's funny. He's fought all of the Marvel characters, the Transformers, and also the Doctor. Yeah, he fought the 7th Doctor.
I remember the first time I read about him in my Marvel Encyclopedia. There's just a little reference in his description. Oh, and then he fought the Doctor, and I had already been into Doctor Who at that point. I was like, the Doctor, and then I was like, does Marvel have
the Doctor Who?
And I'm like, does Marvel have a character called the Doctor? And I look back and I'm like, no.
That would be weird. I mean, not unprecedented, but weird.
I mean, Toho had their own Doctor Who, so how the fuck would I know?
Yeah, but he was actually called Doctor Who though, so that was a little different.
And then I did some more research, and I was like, no, like this thing actually has crossed over with how weird. It's weird.
That's very weird.
Weird things happen like that in comic books sometimes, though. Like, there's one character I forget that like started off as a Marvel character, and now DC has them. Like, just weird shit like that happens occasionally. I don't remember. It was something I heard about recently.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Wow.
Some female character, I think. Or maybe it was the opposite way. Point is, it started out in one universe, and now, for whatever contrived reason, it's in the other. It's just weird shit like that happens occasionally
And the Marvel universe,
in the
and the Marvel
incredibly
universe,
convoluted thing that is comic books.
and the Marvel universe in particular, because the interesting thing about the Marvel universe is it, differently from DC, had never been traditionally rebooted up until this year.
Right.
They've always been locked into the same 616 continuity. They've just done minor retcons here and there for stuff that they wanted to fix. DC obviously keeps kind of resetting the button over and over
And I
again.
mean, they would do alternate continuities occasionally. Like, you have your
That's why they would do them, yeah.
X-Men Age of Apocalypse shit. You have the Ultimate Marvel universe. Like, occasionally they would just do like other
Heroes Reborn.
yeah, Heroes Reborn. That's the one that happened after Onslaught, right?
That was the one. It was the Marvel Universe retooled by the Image guys.
Uh-huh.
It was Rob Liefeld's Captain America. It was
Right.
somebody's Avengers, whatever. It was like Jim Lee's Avengers or whatever. And they retooled all the characters to be more hardcore and extreme in '90s.
Right.
Hulk had long hair and like pouches and shit.
Yeah, right. Like, I think that happened like after Onslaught, and like those events were tied together somehow, and then like Reed Richards' son winds up bringing them back to the normal universe in some contrived way. I don't know. It's very confusing.
Because those characters actually didn't exist in the normal Marvel universe for a couple of months while they did that because they weren't selling.
Especially the '90s. The '90s are super weird.
Marvel also got in bad trouble in the '90s too. They almost went bankrupt. So
You know, it's funny. The X-Men kind of kept them afloat. They were huge in the '90s.
the X-Men was the only thing that was selling. That's why they gave the Avengers characters to the Image guys, because the X-Men was where the Image guys started. So they were like, "Hey, can you guys save our universe?"
And now it's really sad because now Marvel sort of is starting to ignore that the X-Men are like a thing. Like, they're not putting out new X titles, and it's purely because they don't have the movie rights anymore. It's so become just like a part of like their, oh, we're just gonna advertise, because the comics have become, hey, here's this universe that you know from the movies, and so they've really been downplaying their X-Men stuff recently, and it's so sad. I'm like, you guys, X-Men saved your asses in the '90s. Don't be a dick just because Fox still has the movie rights. You bastards.
It's weird too, because that is a really, I think, a poor way to run your comic book universe, is to just have it be an advertisement for your movies. But apparently their stuff's pretty good right now, so who knows?
I've always been a Marvel fan.
Well, but the thing with them is, though, like they'll pretty much let anybody do anything because they're always comfortable with retconning it later, so they don't really care. So they're not with like DC, where it's like they have massive editorial mandates. So that's good. Anyway, we're going off on a whole bunch of comic book tangents, but expect that tonight.
We are.
Because when Godzilla crosses into the Marvel universe, and not in the way that he traditionally did in the past.
Right. So we knew we could not have Godzilla in the Marvel universe. We knew that our Godzilla Odyssey episode couldn't be him popping up on Earth and fighting the Avengers, because that already happened in the Marvel comics.
It did.
So we came up with a more interesting workaround, which is to put Godzilla in the sort of Marvel cosmic universe, which is something that I've always found super interesting, and have him have a fight with Galactus on an alien planet.
Right.
On an alien planet.
That was the idea.
That Galactus is currently in the process of consuming. You know, we would have the idea. There were some kick-arounds like who our supporting cast would be. We suggested like have the Silver Surfer in there, because I fucking love the Silver Surfer. There was also some discussion about, hey, we could have the Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, at that time the movie hadn't come out, and neither of us were.
How fucked up is that that was that long ago now?
At that point, the movie Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't come out yet, and neither of us were really familiar enough with those characters to be comfortable writing them. But now I think that's a thing that we could potentially do. Point being, it was going to be set in space, and the basic idea is Godzilla fighting Galactus. However, unlike the last episode where we actually had like an outline and shit, all we have for this one is the premise. So this video,
just the rough concept.
So this video is just going to be us kicking around some ideas. It's going to be a lot like as if you guys had been there when we were coming up with this series the first time, because this is the shit that we used to do back then.
Just literally sit on Skype like fucking 2 in the morning and just be like, Dylan, would you like to see Godzilla kick Galactus in his dick, even though he might not have one? And Dylan would be like, yeah, I'd like to see that. And then that was the comic. You know, we wrote that down, and that was it.
Yeah.
Just 20 pages of Godzilla kicking Galactus repeatedly in the nuts. Again, if he has one. So,
That
Dylan,
was the super professional way that we went about business. I'm so surprised the series didn't get finished.
yeah, absolutely. So as we discussed last time, we dropped off on the Pacific Rim issue, but like you said, we had a full outline for this one, but for that one, but we have nothing like that for this one. So we kind of are in an interesting situation here because we have so little to go on what our 2014 selves had written down for this series when we were still planning on writing it at that time. There's a lot of room for our 2016 selves to come in here and add stuff. But before we do that, we have definitely altered a lot of Odyssey, since we started doing this series, and we've changed a lot of directions we were going to go, kind of second guess some of our decisions that we'd made back in the past. And I think that one thing that we were always like the least sure of how to incorporate into the individual issues and where he was going to go in each issue was Eulicles.
Right.
And we had nothing written down for Eulicles in issue 4 at that point. Just as a reminder, Eulicles is the interdimensional traveler who's following Godzilla along as he crosses into each universe and is trying to ultimately stop Godzilla from destroying aspects of each universe and fucking with the flow of each universe, while also trying to stop him from crossing universes and find out what kind of insidious plot he has been wrapped up in.
Basically,
But
if you remember Madam Web from Spider-Man, Radioactive
keep
Spider,
this on Marvel. I like that. Good.
he's like a more proactive Madam Web. Um,
He is a very definitely, but he doesn't like communicate with Godzilla and is like, Godzilla, look at these cards. Tell me what you see, and Godzilla just blows him up.
yeah. Well, Madam Web had the advantage of communicating with a fictional character who could communicate back. Eulicles is in a much more difficult situation.
Although I feel like writing it now, there's no reason not to have him like just have some kind of device that could just communicate with Godzilla. Because I mean, if they can communicate, I mean, if they can travel interdimensionally, it doesn't seem like that much of a leap if they can just communicate telepathically with creatures. And it's not like intelligence is an issue with Godzilla. I'm not saying we should do that.
Right.
I'm just saying that's a thing that we could definitely work in there. But that would create weird plot problems. But here's what I was gonna say.
Particularly since heightened intelligence is an aspect of our version of Godzilla that we've been using in the series thus far.
Exactly.
He's not the pea-brained KKVG Godzilla. He's much more analogous to like 70s Godzilla. Like, oh, I'm gonna turn myself into a magnet, and I figured out how to do that because I'm a superhero.
Exactly, because he has to save the day from really just scary looking robotic versions of himself, which the Marvel Universe is very, very familiar with, I feel.
Yeah.
So, Dylan, what I was going to say, though, about Eulicles was...
It would have been fun if we could have set this on Earth. Did that Marvel Godzilla comic series ever have him fight Fing Fang Foom? Because I feel like that's a real missed opportunity.
No, but Fing Fang Foom is a cosmic thing, so we could definitely have him fight Fing Fang Foom. But Fing Fang Foom is...
But you wouldn't want to have
is a,
you wouldn't want to have your Fing Fang Foom and your Galactus all in one.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have very similar power levels, and they're viewed in very similar ways by characters in the Marvel universe. So you can't really do Fing Fang Foom and Galactus at the same time.
I mean, it's just kind of fun to say Fing Fang Foom is why I bring it up.
Oh, him and his fucking purple shorts. I mean, god damn it, sexy ass.
It's like somebody looked at the Hulk and was like, okay.
That's not weird enough. We need something weirder than the Hulk.
What if? Stay with me. He's a dragon.
But he has purple shorts. He's got shame.
And then they laughed him out of the room, and then later stole his idea, and then he went on to create American Jake Long. Anyway,
it seems like there's a lot of that at Marvel. Anyway, tossing some shade their way. I love them. They're great. So again, what I was gonna say about Euclid was
DC never did a thing like that, Bob Kane.
What I was gonna say though, D, was since we're very unsure about how we're gonna approach Odyssey in the future when we inevitably reboot it, I want to kind of talk about try to put ourselves back in the shoes we were in 2014 and figure out what we would have done with Eulicles this issue. Because I also don't even know if Eulicles is a thing we would have pop up as a recurring character now, or what we would do with him. So let's not even worry about him when we start spitballing ideas for the issue.
Yeah.
I want to first, though, kind of go, what would we have done to progress his aspect of the story
I think we
in that
definitely
issue back in 2014.
I think we definitely would have him appear in every issue, and I think we would still be wise to do so, just because the whole reason we came out with Ulysses was, hey, we need a main character who can actually speak, so that we can, deliver exposition when necessary. Because you can't really do that with Godzilla usually. And
True.
not without some contrivances or some alien tapes from the Space Hunter Nebula. Yeah. Um,
Good point. Solid point. However,
because
when
originally, you remember, originally the idea was, hey, let's have him meet up with the Doctor in an early episode, and then just have the Doctor follow him from dimension to dimension, and have the Doctor be that character. And then we were like, no, we don't want to do that. Let's just make a Doctor-esque character, but with interdimensional shit. And
you're right. I feel like one thing that has sort of cropped to my attention though every time we do one of these retrospectives, looking back on what we've written, is that there is a scientific exposition character in every issue, and they don't know what's going on with Godzilla, but they fill the purpose of Euclides, and it always just kind of makes Euclides feel like superfluous in the story. Like he's always just kind of off there floating, just kind of watching everything happen. And again, I get that's his purpose, but it feels like kind of bothersome as a writer, because you have this wasted space,
yeah,
of just this person doing nothing but observing. And again, I know that that's the point, but it just kind of pisses me, not pisses me off, but it's just kind of infuriating. Like let's give him something to do or not have him there,
yeah.
And
Part-
I feel like in particular with the Marvel issue, it's a thing that I wasn't really sure what we would do, because the Marvel universe is not a universe that needs extra exposition.
Well, I was about to
Because
say that is one advantage, I think, to this particular issue, is that in the last two issues, Euclides has sort of had to fill that expository role. Like he shows up at the last minute and asks Goku not to kill Godzilla in the battle for West City, and then he also brings Vegeta to Earth so that he can aid in the battle. Like he's being a little proactive there, but he's still having to like explain shit and sort of. And then in Pacific Rim, it was going to be even more of, hey, this is happening, so you should probably do X. Um,
and he did also help in that, because he was the one who gave Raleigh the idea to revive Godzilla
right.
to help fight the other kaiju. So he was necessary there.
I feel like in the Marvel, especially in the Marvel like cosmic universe, though, you don't really need to explain it to anybody because it's already so out there that a giant like 250-foot lizard suddenly popping up and fighting Galactus is just sort of like, all right, I can buy that. So like, what
Well, also we're on an alien planet, so
regardless of who the character is from the Marvel universe that you have there as like your like whether you use the Silver Surfer or whether you use the Guardians of the Galaxy, or both. You don't really need Euclides to sort of like explain shit to them as much because they're not like from like one of these. They're from a much like more goofy and out there universe where like a giant lizard popping up and fighting Galactus isn't that far out of the realm of believability. Um,
perhaps where that lizard came from, but
so then
you
I think
know,
you have an opportunity to make Euclides just get to do something a bit more like interesting and proactive in this issue that maybe he couldn't do in the previous outings because he had to fill a specific role.
okay, all
I
right.
don't know what that would
So
be. I'm just saying you have a potential there to do something a little different with him. I think next time around when you get to read what I already had for 5, you'll see that starts to become like a thing in that as well, where like he begins to have to take a little bit more of an active role in things. Uh,
well, as long as we're gonna put more of an effort into that then I'm fine with keeping them around. That's just something that really bugged me going back and looking at these now, and especially thinking about this one today. I was just like, man, what are we gonna do with Euclides in this issue? Because there's so many characters in the Marvel universe who can fill his role, and he himself is a very Jack Kirby Marvel cosmic mythology type of
oh
character
yeah,
that it kind of felt strange. But Going back to the original
And it's
concept for
crazy because
Ulle.
we're doing the Marvel like cosmic universe. There's characters in this universe that would totally just blow Godzilla away, like no questions
Yeah,
asked.
yeah.
Like
We'll talk about that in a second
a,
because that is a major point of contention that we have to work out.
a
Is the
celestial.
way this fight goes down.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Like we had to come up with some contention for why Godzilla can stand up to Galactus because generally speaking, that would not happen. I'm sorry. I'm
Galactus wouldn't even entertain the notion of fighting Godzilla. He would just absorb his energy.
like I hate to break it to my fellow Godzilla fans who are on the Godzilla can beat anybody side of the
The
spectrum.
Godzilla versus all page, you mean
Yeah,
them? Not to name names,
I
but
hate to break it to you, but I think Galactus would win pretty quickly.
yeah.
And he's
Oh
and
yeah.
he's not the only one. You have fucking
He's not even as big as Godzilla.
Galactus isn't even as powerful as like a Celestial. A Celestial would wipe Godzilla out in the blink of an eye. The Phoenix could beat Godzilla. There's so many characters in this universe that are just so crazy powerful. There's that one that's literally the universe in like human form, like his body is just a black space covered in stars, and he's basically the consciousness of the universe. I forget what he's called.
Mm.
There are just so many fucking characters in the Marvel Cosmic Universe that are so crazy out there and powerful that we have to come up with some conceit. Like maybe he absorbs some sort of alien radiation on this planet that makes him stronger, or
Oh, don't like that. No.
or something.
I
Uh,
think we need to weaken Galactus.
how so? How do you weaken Galactus?
Well, I think if you, well, no, no, I think if you're gonna do something with the planet, you have some aspect of the planet that when Galactus starts to absorb it, he's like, "Oh fuck, this is no good," and it weakens him. So, what I think we might want to do,
You have to have Reed Richards complete the ultimate nullifier, like in the good endings from Ultimate Alliance.
yeah, well, I think you do something like that, or you either have Galactus get weaker, or we'll talk about this in a second because I want to wrap up on Euclides, real quick. So what I also wanted to ask you was
I
what.
I hate that IDW already did Godzilla in Hell
Mhm.
because another way we could go with Marvel is like Mephisto. Like that would be really cool. Like Mephisto,
Yeah,
Galactus.
Mephisto is technically a cosmic character because he's an acolyte of Thanos and everything and all of that.
Yeah.
But so let me just ask you this one last thing about Euclides. We'll move on to the actual issue proper and spitballing about the fight. But what uh advancements would you have liked to have made at the time in terms of revealing more about Euclides' character and the hierarchy and the overarching narrative of their battle with the evil force of the story, you know? Would we have done any, or just kind of had Euclides in there, do what he's gonna do, and then just keep following Godzilla? Because that was the other thing I always worried and wondered about was wordered, however you want to mix those two. I don't know. I had a beer before. Shut up. So you know, is how much of that you put in each issue, because that takes away from the fun of what this was supposed to be, which was Godzilla crossing with all these universes.
Right.
I think at a certain point. So
I think one thing about the last two issues with Battle in West City and also with the Pacific Rim one is that in the end everything comes out pretty a-okay.
yeah,
Um, some pretty happy endings going on. Not the massage parlor type of happy endings, but the other type of happy ending. Um,
unfortunately,
I think, and because we have the reset button set up at the end of the series, I think there has to be like some terrible consequence for Godzilla popping up in the Marvel Cosmic Universe. Take it the other way. Like maybe he beats Galactus, but maybe there's some other unforeseen damage that occurs.
what if he kills Galactus? Because that would wreck the Marvel universe.
What if that whole planet just somehow becomes just uninhabitable? Like just some sort of shit goes down that just on like a massive scale that just like, oh, the Marvel universe is now kind of fucked. And
Well, but Dylan, if we're gonna have Godzilla fight Galactus
because,
anyway, don't you think?
because in one reason I think that would be interesting is that one plot idea that I had for number 5 is that and you'll see this when you read what I had.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the higher ups in the hierarchy sort of start to step in a little, they step in basically a little bit more in trying to dissolve it, basically to get Godzilla killed so that all the things that are happening are going on. And I think it would be interesting if one of the reasons why is, oh, Euclides, you kind of fucked up last time.
Yeah. Well, so D, what do you think about Godzilla killing Galactus? Because as much of a reach as that might be, knowing what we know about those characters, and we still have to figure out how exactly we're gonna match up this fight. But Galactus is a force of nature in the Marvel Universe that is constantly talked about as being completely necessary, absolutely 100% necessary.
Right.
That's why the Fantastic Four and all of the other superheroes haven't just fucking gotten together and killed him.
It's really
They've talked
weird.
about it, trust me.
It's really
But he's a
weird that
force of destruction that needs to be there. He's like Beerus.
it's really weird that he's so.
Well, they're the same character, basically.
It's really weird that he's so necessary to that universe, considering the fact that he came from before that universe. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
I was actually just watching a video about Galactus' origin before this to get prepped.
did you
So,
not know?
yeah.
Did you not know his origin before?
No, I knew that, but I was kind of fuzzy on the
Okay.
details, so I wanted to go back and find out.
Like if he's so
And
necessary,
they
to
don't
Marvel,
really get into it.
if he's so necessary to the Marvel universe, I'm curious as to how he would have, how the universe would have progressed if he hadn't have survived the Big Bang and become Galactus. Anyway,
Yeah. I don't know. But in every Fantastic Four story where they get the chance to kill him. Like I remember one very iconic moment from the Fantastic Four animated series in the 90s, which was awful. But there was one episode where Ghost Rider popped up. Everybody remembers this. Galactus is weakened and on Earth. Thor's there for some reason. There's a female Human Torch. And they're all fucking up Galactus. Ghost Rider rolls up, does the penance stare to Galactus, which fucks him up bad because he's killed a lot of innocent people. And he's down, he's out, he's completely done. And they then have to revive him because the Watcher and the female Human Torch are like, he is a force of nature and the universe is better off with him in it. And she agrees to be his herald and they revive him. So clearly he's necessary to the way the universe works. So I think it might be interesting if
right?
we're
She
going to have
becomes,
Godzilla fight him anyway.
what's the fucking name? Galactus has had several heralds in the.
Galactus' herald. I forget her name though.
Yeah, yeah. He's had several heralds in the comics, and they all have different
I
names.
think her name was Veronica. I think that was her, actual name.
Like after Silver Surfer, he had the one with like the hammer. Like he's just had so many.
The one with the hammer. You mean Beta Ray Bill?
No, there's this one.
He wasn't a herald for Galactus.
No, there was this one Galactus Herald who had not really a hammer. It was like some sort of big like melee weapon. I just remember him because he looks very different from Silver Surfer. It always stuck out to me.
Was he like a big butch dude?
Did her name become Fire Lord? Is Fire Lord a female?
I don't know. No, I think Fire Lord is
I'm looking at a list of his heralds, and one of them is named Fire Lord.
Oh, okay. See, there's so many fucking characters in Marvel who use fire as their base weapon. You've got two Human Torches right off the bat. Your Jim Hammond Human Torch, and then your Johnny Storm Human Torch.
It could be that she
and then
wasn't
you've
even.
got.
It could be that she wasn't even in the comics, and she just became the Herald in that animated series.
No, she was definitely in the comics because that was a very iconic story from the John Byrne run of the Fantastic Four. That's why I brought it up as canon, because it was adapted.
Even fucking Dazzler has been a herald for Galactus at one point. So I mean,
Dazzler was a herald for Galactus. That's amazing. Anyway, so who knows, man? Well, everything with Euclides and the hierarchy aside, we'd have to work that out in terms of coming up with the overarching story a second time. But I would have liked to have kept Euclides and the hierarchy's interactions to a minimum, as kind of always, because you want to exploit as much as you can, the fun of Godzilla crossing into these different universes. And once you introduce this kind of indifferent element, it kind of changes the game a little bit, and I think takes away from the novelty of it a bit. So,
well, it has to be like a big dramatic moment,
yeah.
Because again, Euclides is sort of basically based off the idea of like the Doctor from Doctor Who. He's just an interdimensional version of the Doctor, and like in an analogous situation, whenever the Time Lords step in, it's always a big fucking moment. Like usually it's just the Doctor going around doing his thing, but now and then the Time Lords show up and sort of wiggle their finger at him, and it's like, oh, that was important.
Except when they were dead, they couldn't do it then.
Well, yeah. Every now and then one would turn out not to be dead though, and that was
I'm sorry, not when they were dead. When they were trapped in a painting.
Well, they were dead until.
Might as well be dead though.
They were technically dead until the reboot happened. They were dead.
You mean when 11 rebooted the universe?
No, they were dead until the three Doctors decided to change it, and then history got rewritten, and they weren't dead anymore.
Right. Well, they might as well have been dead anyway, because the only one who knows that they're alive is the Doctor, and he didn't up until the day of the
I
Doctor.
mean, it's one
Anyway,
of those like
irrelevant.
it's one of those John Connor Kyle Reese paradoxes where it just sort of goes around in circles. At some point, the doctors decided to change it, and now they're not dead. Is the point?
Right. But the question is, did they ever even kill them? You know, because it's like they had to make the War Doctor likable, so he never actually killed the Time Lords. You know.
Right, right.
Any.
Then it becomes, oh, Christopher Eccleston just thought he killed them because he lost all memories of that interaction.
Right. Right. Anyway.
I mean,
So, Dylan, would you like to actually talk about the fight proper between Godzilla and Galactus, and also working in other Marvel characters? Because that's something that we talked about a lot. Was if we're going to set it in the cosmic Marvel universe, you know, you want to have some other characters in there besides Galactus, like some heroes for Godzilla to tangle with.
right, right.
I know we mentioned the Guardians of the Galaxy and
Throw
the
in
Silver
something
Surfer.
super iconic, like maybe the planet that Galactus is attacking happens to be like the fucking Skrull planet, or the fucking Shi'ar, or some alien race that's like super iconic to the Marvel universe. Um,
Okay, I'm
you know,
about it.
like do something. Yeah.
I'm with you. So okay, here's my idea though. So I think we definitely have to have Silver Surfer in there. He's got to be there somewhere.
Yes, because
Whether
I
or not
love
he's the
him.
herald,
I love him so much.
whether or not he is the herald of Galactus, I think is up to when we decide to set this in the timeline. I think it makes more sense to set it after,
Yeah.
because my idea is we open on we just have Godzilla show up on this planet. He doesn't know why he's there, obviously, like always, and he starts wreaking havoc. And the Silver Surfer shows up and is like, "Fuck, this was not part of the plan." He has a brief and
Do you think the Watchers might step in some capacity on this occasion? Because
I think we should definitely have the Watchers in there somewhere.
they would probably have enough knowledge of how the universe works to understand like the multiverse thing, and you know, Uatu, he bends the rules.
What if Uatu was about to intervene and then Eulicles is like, "No, don't." That's when Eulicles steps in. When he's gonna step in, it's like, "No, you'll fuck this up worse. Don't even bother."
Uatu's been known to break some rules and I don't know how he hasn't been like excommunicated or whatever the fuck the Watchers do because occasionally
He was at one point. He got stranded on Earth at one point because
did he?
he was being a dickhead. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And he was just a dumb baby-looking motherfucker just trolling around on Earth with
Because
his big head, you know.
oh
And they gave
god,
him a diaper. It was real. It was really embarrassing, you know.
you know who we need in this story?
Who?
Fucking Howard the Duck. I mean, obviously.
Oh, okay, okay. Hang on, though. Let me finish my pitch.
Even
So
if it's
Silver
just a
Surfer.
cameo, even if he's just like fucking some bitch and we get to see some duck tits. Like I don't know. No, we gotta work him in there somewhere.
So my pitch is, Silver Surfer is there, and you think he's the herald for Galactus at first, and Godzilla defeats him, and you're like, "Oh, great! So Galactus isn't gonna show up." And then there's a big light in the sky, and you think Galactus is gonna show up, and then the fucking Defenders show up, because this is post Silver Surfer being a herald, and he's joined the Marvel team, the Defenders, because back in the day.
So you get who? Doctor Strange, the Hulk, and Submariner. Was that who it was?
Yeah. Yep.
All
And
right.
now this is also because I just want to have Godzilla fight the Hulk. That's all I fucking care about with this issue.
Now who's Galactus' herald at this point? I think we should definitely go Dazzler.
Yeah, I'm about it. Let's use Dazzler. No, Dazzler wasn't a thing at that point.
Now, hold on.
Because if we're gonna have, we could do Dazzler. I'm okay with that.
Let's do fucking Dazzler. No, let me just refer back to my Marvel Encyclopedia because I feel like there's a listing in here of Galactus heralds, probably in the Galactus article. I gotta vote for Firelord. I think we should use Firelord because he's fucking awesome. He's got a two-ended fiery baton. Like, how do you not love that? Like,
what's his deal though? I don't even know if I know who that is.
You want me to just read you his description?
Yeah. Marvel Encyclopedia, kids. Dylan McCandless doing a reading from it. This is as closest to an audiobook of this as you'll ever get.
Dramatic reading. Can you imagine how long it would take to do an audiobook of this fucking thing? And how confusing.
You know what, though, D?
How confusing
right?
it would be.
How do you break that down? It's like Captain America. Captain America throws his mighty shield.
By the way, we have one huge problem with this whole concept that I didn't think of until now.
What was that?
Galactus is 26 feet and 9 inches in height.
Yeah, that I knew. I brought that up earlier, that he's nowhere near as tall as Godzilla. But I figure he can
Our,
change his size, right?
our title card art is way off.
Yeah. I
It
mean, he's
doesn't.
wearing,
It doesn't say that he can in the encyclopedia, but I wouldn't put it past him.
but it also doesn't say that he can't.
I mean, I look at the shit that Doom was able to do when he stole Galactus's powers that one time, and I say, yeah, why the hell not?
You're not talking about when he did it in the movie, right? Because in the movie he just
Oh God, no! Fuck that movie.
yeah, no,
Fuck
that movie
that.
was real bad.
He's not.
That
He's
movie's
not.
real bad.
He's not a fucking cloud. I was so mad because I wasn't a person who hated the first one. I was a person
Mm-hmm.
who enjoyed the first one for what it was. Also, I was a kid and I was much
Mm-hmm.
less critical. But the
Right.
second one, oh my God! I even read the book first and was like really put off by the whole "it's a cloud in space" thing. Um,
The novelization, you mean?
yeah.
They
Um,
did a novelization of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a super like it was just one of those like young adult like novelizations. You know, it wasn't anything too
Oh,
terribly complex. They did it for all the superhero movies back then. I don't know if they still do,
they do.
because I haven't been
There's
to
a Civil War one.
because I haven't been to a Scholastic Book Fair recently because I'm not a child. But
I want to look up if there was one for Batman v Superman. You keep talking.
okay, what was I saying? Oh, just fuck that.
You were talking about we were talking about whether or not Galactus can change size, and then we were talking about Firelord.
Right. Okay.
So what's Firelord's deal?
So Fire Lord. Pyreus Krill, which is his real name, I take it, an officer of the Xandarian Nova Corps. All right, I know what all that means. Saw his commander abducted by Galactus, Devourer of Worlds, from on board the ship Way Opener. Krill's commander became Airwalker, Galactus's herald, seeking out worlds for him to destroy. The loyal Krill followed his trail, eventually becoming Galactus's newest herald, following Airwalker's death. Remade as Firelord, Krill wielded the energies of a miniature sun. Firelord served with Galactus briefly until Thor offered the Asgardian construct known as the Destroyer, which is from the Asgardian mythos, to Galactus as a replacement herald. So that's his deal. His boss got turned into a herald, and then he followed him, and then he became a herald after the other guy died. And he has the power of a miniature sun. See, even this is the problem I just realized with putting Godzilla in the Marvel Cosmic Universe. Even this guy can kill Godzilla. He's only 6'4".
Right. So,
That's a problem.
well, D, what if Godzilla's no, that's dumb. I was gonna say, what if Godzilla's protected by whatever force has been dragging him through the multiverse?
Take a look at Airwalker. See what that guy's deal is. Oh, I don't need to read the guy's powers. He's a son.
By the way, there was not a novelization of Batman v Superman. There was, however, at Scholastic Book Fairs, an original companion novel called Crossfire.
Hmm. I was
God
always
knows what that's about.
I was always more of a fan of when they did like tie-in comics for those things. Like I remember Spider-Man 3 came out. Obviously terrible movie, but there was like this short little tie-in comic that I read that I remember enjoying. Um,
Yeah, they did that for Batman v Superman as well. There's a whole bunch of tie-in Batman v Superman comics that
I don't
just
know.
tell different.
I don't know if DC movies even did the whole junior novelizations thing back when of course there weren't any DC movies coming out when I was a kid except for no, Dark Knight trilogy would have been too late for that. So, wow.
There were definitely novelizations of the Dark Knight trilogy. I've seen them. Superman Returns, there was one. So yeah, that's pretty much all of them. I remember the Superman Returns one.
Okay, so the thing about
Anyway,
Airwalker, his powers are way less specific than Fire Lord's were. He's like it says, command of the power cosmic, the fundamental force of the universe, enables a variety of powers, including force blast, interstellar flight, and ability to walk on air. So yeah, that's very vague and non-specific. I like Fire Lord because he's like it's like, yo, this dude's a sun. Like that's cool.
right.
Also, apparently he can understand the language of birds.
Hmm. I'm just trying to think. That's going to come in handy when he's fighting Godzilla. Well, technically, he could talk to Godzilla
Oh
then,
shit,
because Godzilla has the mind of a bird.
84 rules. We can play with this.
84 rules, motherfucker. Our Godzilla's more high say than anything, so
Ah shit, nigga.
we're in it, motherfucker. So Dylan, here, so I know I said before
I
that
always
your
forget.
idea for
I always forget how short Galactus actually is. Like I build him up in my brain to be a lot bigger than he actually is, and then I look in the book and I'm like, oh, he's only 26 feet. He's only 20 feet taller than his herald. That's not what I imagined in my head. He's shorter than the 50-foot woman. Like, let's
well,
just think about. I think it's because I always compare him in my mind to like Unicron, who's fucking massive. Um,
yeah, no, I was thinking more like I see, but I brought up before. I knew that that Galactus wasn't as big as Godzilla, but
I've
okay.
I've always known
I
that. I
don't
just
think that ultimately that matters though, because he's still stronger than him. They don't have to have a fist fight.
no.
I mean, Galactus could pick up his own surfboard and just blast lasers while he's flying around Godzilla. Um.
Can you imagine how fucked Godzilla would be if he fought Ghost Rider? Penance stare on Godzilla.
Oh God, can Ghost Rider do that to non-humans?
Just
I guess
looking
he did it to
just
Galactus. I
looking
mean,
through this book and being like, wow, so many of these characters could kill Godzilla. This is what I loved about
yeah.
this is what I loved about Marvel as a kid. It's so over the top.
Well, let's go back to that thing that you said before that I said was dumb. I think that Godzilla draining the energy, using his energy absorbing abilities against Galactus is ultimately the way we're going to have to go. But what if instead of Godzilla draining the energy from the planet, what if Godzilla drained the energy from Galactus himself, or from his engine that takes energy from the worlds that Galactus then consumes? So then Godzilla can get a piece of the power cosmic, which can also detract from Galactus's overall power, which might even them out. You see what I'm saying?
Did you know that um, Ghost Rider was a guardian of the galaxy at one point?
No, which Ghost Rider?
It just a spirit of vengeance.
So
Parentheses
so
Ghost
Danny
Rider.
Ketch then. So Danny Ketch then. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because it's the one that's dressed a little differently with like the weird shoulder pads and whatnot.
The weird shoulder. You mean the spikes?
No, it's like it looks like a pad. It's like I'm looking at a picture and it's like it looks like one of those North Face jackets, but cut up and just thrown over his shoulder. You know what I mean? Like it's that sort of
Yeah.
lifeboat-esque like
Yeah.
pouch,
I don't know which Ghost Rider that is then, huh?
pouchy look.
Sure it's not. You sure it's not Vengeance? Because Vengeance was
No,
Ghost Rider's.
it's not Vengeance because it doesn't have the weird like purpley head thing going on.
Yeah. He looked very different.
It's just
I don't.
Ghost Rider. Fire Lord is on this version of the Guardians of the Galaxy too. Hmm.
Hmm.
So is one of the
Hmm.
many people to
The
be.
Marvel universe is so complicated.
So is Phoenix 9. I didn't realize there were that many Phoenix. This is
They have a whole Phoenix Force now. They had their own book for a while.
Well, there for a while in the X-Men comics, like, or no, it was in Avengers versus X-Men. The Phoenix Force got split up between like 5 different people. So
Yeah.
Cyclops had part of it, Emma Frost had part of it, Colossus, Colossus's sister, I think, and then one other. And then occasionally some of them just got bumped off, and then the remaining ones got more powerful because they absorbed what was left. It was like in GMK, where like every time one of the Guardian Beasts got killed, the rest of them got a little stronger because like the energy from the first one went into the others.
Right.
And by
Oh,
the end, I think Cyclops was the only one who had the Phoenix Force, and like he did some shit and brought back the mutants. It's very complicated and confusing, and this is why I don't keep up with comics anymore, and
so Dylan,
just live in the 90s.
hey man, that's the safest way to live your life in general. So I got two options for you. Two ways that we can sensibly have Godzilla fight Galactus. Two things.
Mhm.
What I said before, which was Godzilla gets a piece of the power cosmic by absorbing energy directly from Galactus, or by just draining it from Galactus's big like engine thing that he uses to eat planets. Or we explain that the Defenders and Galactus were fighting to each other prior to Godzilla's arrival, and both teams have been weakened by each other like really badly, and Godzilla just wrecks house.
Well, if you've
So
got
then,
if you're
if we
using
want to have,
if we're using the Defenders instead of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think is a smart move because it's just a natural way to work in Silver Surfer.
also we know those characters better.
You can always just have Galactus having been weakened by like some spell that fucking Doctor Strange whipped up. I mean, it's not that hard to write that in.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. We have them. But I think it also might be kind of cool and a little different if we had Godzilla stuck in the middle of somebody else's fight.
Yeah, it's interesting if like there's a previous battle between those two things going on, and then Godzilla just suddenly pops up.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Oh, bro, what the fuck's going on?" Um, do you think? Because I'm just trying to think of the characters on the team: Submariner, Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Silver Surfer. None of them fought Godzilla on Earth. I like this because now we can also have it where none of them would recognize Godzilla
Oh, we missed a
because
huge
none of
opportunity. We could have had him fight Devil Dinosaur.
he did that already in the Marvel series.
Did he?
Yeah, they teamed up.
Where's my Devil Dinosaur movie, Marvel? Get on it. He's
I
25
think that
feet. He's almost as tall as Galactus.
I think they're gonna put him in what would they put him in? Devil Dinosaur was on a team at one point. See, if they're gonna put Devil Dinosaur in something, they probably put him in. If they ever did like a Marvel team up movie somehow, or like a Spider-Man team up movie somehow, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if I don't know how you do Marvel team up as a movie though, because they've kind of already done it with like Winter Soldier's kind of a Marvel team up between Cap and Black Widow. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. How would you handle a Marvel team up movie? Like, what would you do?
You know what I would love? I would love a separate series of Marvel films. Like, don't even connect them all that much to the main cinematic universe, except for Doctor Strange. He would have to be in it. But let's do a series of Marvel horror films. Because I love Marvel's horror universe as well. Marvel is such an interesting thing because there's all these facets to it. You've got the superhero stuff, and you've also got the cosmic stuff, and you've got all this cool horror shit going on with your Blades and
Yeah,
your Ghost Riders and your Morbiuses and your Werewolf by Nights and your Darkholds and all your shit.
I think what they're likely to do is introduce all of that on TV, and then and then give Doctor Strange a Midnight Suns movie that
I
he's
would
the leader of,
I would love a
and then you
Midnight.
bring all those characters in like an Avengers situation,
Yes.
which that makes sense. Or
You could do Midnight Massacre, the story where Blade became Switchblade.
hmm,
He looked like a cross between Blade and Ghost Rider. It was like awesome. Uh,
I don't remember that.
I have like one
How'd that happen?
I have one issue from it, the Morbius issue. It was one of those big crossover events. He got a hold
Yeah,
he got a hold of some page from the that book, the Darkhold, is that what it's called? Um, there's like a
I don't. That doesn't ring a bell.
there's this
Necronomicon.
no, it's similar to the Necronomicon in concept. It's this spell book in the Marvel universe that fucks shit up. Anyway, it was something to do with that. He got transformed into this thing called Switchblade, and he just went around trying to like murder all the Midnight Suns. It was this huge event called Midnight Massacre, and all of the issues are just in these really cool black covers. And hold on, let me show you the one that I have. Um,
The
and
90s was all about crossovers and black covers, kids. There was nothing else.
yes, now the other thing we'd have to do is we'd have to work out why the Defenders have come together and just gone off to fight Galactus on this alien planet. Because one thing about the Defenders is they're not really
Yeah, we forgot to explain that before. What the fuck the Defenders are, because they're not the Avengers.
they're
There's a
not
very specific reason why they have that roster.
they're not like the Avengers at all. I mean, the Marvel Encyclopedia describes them as a loose affiliation of heroes. In fact, the core four Defenders are often at odds with one another and only band together when there is no other option available. So there has to be some reason why Doctor Strange cares enough that Galactus is attacking the planet he's attacking to like take the Defenders into space to fight him.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, what if Galactus
What if
has
we
finally decided to attack Silver Surfer's homeworld?
what if we do work in That's an interesting idea. Or another option is we connect it to Doctor Strange somehow. You have some sort of cosmic entity like manipulating Galactus in a way, like you do either Mephisto or Dormammu, like manipulating Galactus in some fashion, and that's why the Defenders go off to fight him. I don't know. We'd have to come up with something. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
this is the comic I was telling you about. See, it's just a black cover with like gold letters.
Oh, that's so cool.
On the back, there's
Very 90s.
just like a seal, like you would see like on a scroll or something, and then just a
Yeah,
list of
yeah, yeah.
all the things that were in the crossover. Let me see if I can pull up a page. There's this great page that Switchblade is on, so you can see what that.
Is the art good? Because 90s Marvel's really hit and miss.
I mean, well, you'll see some in a minute. I think I've seen a lot of '90s Marvel art, and I think it's pretty good for the time, all things considering. So this is Switchblade right here. See, it just looks like a
Oh,
weird
hey, yeah.
cross between like Blade and Switchblade.
Very 90s. Very 90s. I have seen that guy
It's the
before.
'90s. I mean, there's an ad for Batman Returns in this book, so
In a
the
Marvel comic. That's crazy.
the
Wow.
video game, the Super Nintendo game.
Huh. Dude, can you imagine opening up
Here's
an
this awesome
issue of
splash page of him just like unloading some firepower on Morbius.
his armor kind of looks like what's his name? Mr. Sinister, like the color scheme.
Yeah, I remember
Uh
reading this comic as a child. It's one of the few from my childhood that's actually still in pretty good shape. Um,
Yeah, wow, I'm astonished because all the ones I had from when I was a kid are destroyed.
Oh, I'm so sad because I have the first issue of Maximum Carnage somewhere, and just the
I
cover,
have that too. Yeah, yeah,
and just
yeah.
the cover's torn off of it. It's just in terrible shape.
That's a great cover too. That sucks.
But this and the last issue from the Cyborg Superman arc are still in pretty good condition. Um,
I never had any single issues of the Death of Superman. I didn't get into DC comics, like the actual books, until
I,
I was a little older. Because all I cared about when I was younger was Batman and Superman.
yeah, I didn't really get into DC Comics that much either, except for occasionally somebody else would like buy me one, like, "Hey, you're into comics? Here's a comic. It's in DC," and I'm like, "Okay." And
That's
then
the thing. Everybody was sort of like they read Marvel comics and then they liked DC stuff, but they didn't really read DC comics. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. And then like a few years ago, somebody like gave me a bunch of their old comics, and now I've got like a bunch of DC shit that I haven't even read. You know that thing that they did that one time where like one of the members of Hawk and Dove became like a villain called like Monarch or something.
Yes, a little bit.
I've got that. And some other DC shit. Anyway, what I was saying is, I remember reading this as a child was the first time I ever became aware that like Werewolf by Night was a thing. Because I
Oh,
didn't have.
Werewolf by Night was in the Midnight Suns?
Well, he's in this the Midnight Massacre story. He's
Huh? Because I didn't even know he was still
Here's an
around at
image.
that point.
Here's an image of him lying on the ground next to Morbius under Switchblade's snarling face.
Because he was, he was around. He was popular when Ghost Rider was first a thing, like in the '70s. I didn't know that he carried over all the way into the '90s, huh?
Yeah, he stuck around. I think he was just more in like a supporting character role though,
Yeah,
because
he
like
wasn't.
I don't
He
think
wasn't
he.
terribly complicated. He was just basically the Lawrence Talbot version of the Wolfman made into a bit of a superhero.
I don't think he had his own title at this point because reading the back of this, where it lists like all the issues that are in this crossover event,
Hmm.
there's no Werewolf by Night. So I
Yeah.
don't think he had his own title at the time. I think he was just a supporting character in other people's shit. Darkhold, that's the name of the book, the spell book from the Marvel Universe that fucks with things.
You had it then, yeah. You said it was Darkhold, so good job, Dylan. You're a nerd. Are you happy about it?
I am a nerd.
Good, good. As long as you know, as long as you own it. That's all. When you have a problem, the first step is to admit it. Um.
Like
So, all right. Let's.
the thing here is, it's easy to write why Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange go off to fight Galactus. It's a lot harder to get the Hulk and Submariner there. Like
Yeah, because they don't give a fuck.
it might be even be too much of a stretch to have Submariner in it. We might not even have him show up. Like I know you,
Hulk is easier than Submariner. That's the weird thing. Because Bruce Banner will agree to anything.
the Submariner is just such a dick, and I love him.
He is. He's not even a hero. He's a fucking sociopath who tried to rape the Invisible Girl. Like he's a bad guy. Like
What if Galactus is attacking Ego, the living planet, played by
oh man.
played by Kurt Russell?
Yeah, I'd like to see Godzilla attack Kurt Russell. Like that'd be something I'd pay to watch. Yeah. All right, so we don't have to have the Submariner in there. I mean,
No, it's
the
just
Defenders was an ever-changing roster.
it's just so hard to get him to do anything and to give a fuck about anybody. And
Yeah, like, well, what I would be interested to know is what circumstances led the Submariner to ever being on the Defenders. Like, the thing was, they usually operated in space. Like, that was kind of their thing. They were rarely Earth-based because they didn't have to be. So,
that's the cool
like,
thing
when you
about
read,
that's the cool thing about Submariner as a character is that he goes back and forth. There are times when he's super heroic, and there's other times where I think maybe it would have been better if the Fantastic Four hadn't given you back your memories.
yeah, exactly. Well, because I mean, when he was initially introduced, he went on a fucking rampage through the world and killed dozens of people. So that it's like weird that was it back then. Like, oh, he killed dozens. Now it'd be millions.
Yeah,
Um.
he's
So I
got some
don't know.
he's got some great eyebrows too.
So let's forget about Submariner for now. Then there's lots of other things to discuss here. I don't. So let's talk about the Defenders fighting Godzilla with the roster we have. We've got Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, and the Hulk.
The Hulk. We can write in the Hulk somehow. Maybe he brings along
Oh
Doctor.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think that why would so Silver Surfer? Because if he's gonna go to somebody for help to fight off Galactus, he'd probably go to the Fantastic Four, right?
Maybe they're busy.
Yeah, well that's easy. Well, do you want to not even explain it? Like, let's just have have Silver Surfer be like my the only people, the only heroic people of power I am comfortable with asking for help are these weird lunatic loner people. So these are the people who I've asked to help me, and they're the ones helping me fight Galactus right now.
I mean, maybe they just weren't available. Maybe the fucking Fantastic Four were off in the fucking whatever that other dimension is that they discovered, and they were
The
fighting.
negative zone.
Yeah, maybe they were just off in the negative zone fighting the one guy who should have been the villain in Fantastic. What's it?
Annihilus. Annihilus.
Annihilus. Maybe they're off dealing with him or some shit. Like it's easy enough
Yeah.
to work around that.
What if I don't think we should actually do this, but I think this would be hilarious.
Oh
We
shit,
open.
Plant Man! I forgot he was a thing.
Oh God, is he in any way connected to Ant-Man? Because that pun does not seem like.
I had a comic with Plant Man in it when I was a kid. It was when Spider-Man got turned into the Man Spider, and he was in that issue. Anyway,
Huh? What was he doing? Is he a what's
I
his deal? Is he a villain, hero,
I don't
anti-hero, different?
I don't remember what he was doing. Is the problem? He's a bad guy. He's definitely a bad guy.
Oh, all right, it makes a little more sense.
He's a professional
Um,
criminal, formerly a gardener. He's basically the Floronic Man, but Marvel.
yeah, there's a lot of those. So anyway, D, let's get technical here though.
we should have had
Hulk versus Hulk versus Godzilla.
we should have had the Godzilla fight the Power Pack. Just saying.
Hulk versus Godzilla. Godzilla wins, right?
Yeah, at least at first. I mean, I think Hulk could eventually win. It would just take a while for him to get angry enough. Because
Especially if this is also a Hulk who,
that's the whole
if
conceit.
we're
That's the whole conceit with the Hulk is that the longer you fight him, the more powerful he's going to get, just because he has that whole strength linked to anger thing.
I also think we're dealing with a smarter Hulk here, because if he's off with the Defenders, clearly he's reasoning a little bit if he's working with some kind of a team. And then also we're dealing with a younger Hulk, but I mean like a Hulk that existed a long time ago in the Marvel universe. So I feel like he should be he should be powered down a bit than your more modern Hulk who is fucking being dropped out of spacecraft and blowing through planets, you know? Like I feel like he should be a little more grounded, you know? What are you looking at here? He's Dylan is looking at something with astonishment and bewilderment in the Marvel Encyclopedia, and I'm dying to know what it is.
You know Dr. Kilgrave, or not? He's not a doctor. You know Kilgrave from Jessica Jones.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know what his name is in the comics?
The Purple Man.
His alter ego name, Purple Man.
Yeah, he's purple. He's a purple guy. You didn't know that?
I'm looking at him right now. No, Jessica. That's the weird thing about that show is like when I heard about it, I was like, oh, Jessica Jones, who I don't know who that is, and she's fighting Kilgrave. I don't know who that is. Like, Marvel's such a diverse universe that occasionally there are just some characters that you're not familiar with, and he's slipped under my notice until now.
He is a terrifying villain, though. He is an amazing villain.
Yeah,
you know what his power is, right?
Yeah, he's got a great power set. It's just he's purple.
Yeah.
It's not even.
Hey, so is Galactus, Dylan.
It's not even the fact that he's purple that I find funny. It's the fact that his name is just fucking Purple Man.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why they didn't call him that in the show.
Purple Man. Also, apparently he's a spy in the comics, whereas in the show, apparently he's just like a rapist. I haven't watched Jessica Jones.
Well, he's not. He's just a lunatic in the show. He's a power hungry lunatic. Just a manipulative kind of fuck.
Does Jessica Jones have a superhero name? Because I don't find her in here under Jessica.
Shit, what's her name? Oh, what's her name?
She's not
Jewel?
Jewel?
Jewel? Is that it?
I'm gonna look for Jewel. I'm gonna let you know if you're right.
Is it Jewel? I want to say it's Jewel.
We've rambled a lot in this episode, but I think it's only natural since we had so little already planned.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying let's kind of get back into the fold here. So I think that we're also dealing with a Defenders team who, as we said, who could be weakened by their fight with Galactus if we're going to have Godzilla pop up in the middle of it. And
oh no, it is Jessica Jones. I just didn't find her the first time because whenever there's an actual person's name in this book, they do last name first. I hate that shit. But
well, it wouldn't matter with her. But what was her superhero name? Because she was a superhero before she was a private eye, so she had a superhero name.
Okay. Let me see if I can find out. Right now, she's just listed as Jessica Jones.
I'm just gonna Google it because We have technology, Dylan.
Oh, she was called Jewel, and then she just became Jessica Jones.
Yes, I called it.
And now she's just Jessica Jones, and
Yeah,
she fights the Purple Man.
she does indeed. Uh,
Purple Man.
so again, we're dealing with a Defenders team here who's been weakened. Doctor Strange is gonna be a strange one because he wouldn't even really fight Godzilla.
You get it? You get it?
Yeah, I made it, Dylan. I made it, so I certainly get it. So if Doctor Strange is threatened with the issue of Godzilla, what would he do? He would just banish him to like a pocket limbo or something, right?
Right.
Why would Doctor Strange even entertain the notion of Godzilla?
God, we came into this podcast wanting to come up with ideas, and I'm even more confused than ever because the more I think about the Marvel Universe, the more I realize how fucked Godzilla is.
See, every character, I'm like, oh, we shouldn't even have them in there then. But I'm like, but that's a cop out though.
You know
All
what would be
right,
super interesting, but I don't know how you would write it. Imagine Godzilla versus the radioactive man. How does that fight go down?
I always wanted to just see Godzilla versus Hulk one-on-one. That's what I always just wanted to see because I think that
Was he in?
while God's
Hulk was in that Godzilla versus Avengers comic, right?
no, he wasn't. He never popped up in that series. He was
No.
supposed to. He was supposed to be the next one.
Right. Well, that's the thing about the Hulk is that he's always kind of been off and on as far as being an Avenger is concerned.
Well, at that point, he was hardcore, like, fuck the Avengers. He
Because like
was.
I
I
think
think he
it's
was on the Defenders at that point.
like I think the first time he left the Avengers was like within the first 2 or 3 issues.
It was issue 5.
Yeah,
I think it was
something like
issue
that.
5, and that's when that and issue because issue 6 is when Captain America came in. So,
Right.
well, they have a massive falling out. Like he loses his shit for some reason, and he goes and fucks off, and then they end up fighting him, and then the next issue they have Captain America there.
Right.
Well, because that was also at the point where he wasn't changing back and forth between him and Bruce Banner. He was like equally intelligent as the Hulk as he was as Bruce Banner, but it wasn't Bruce Banner's consciousness, it was the Hulk's. So at one point in the early Avengers issues, I remember him like jumping into the water and he was like, my body works like a whale. If I inhale a bunch of air, I can stay down there for a long time. So I'm just gonna go down there and chill where nobody can fuck with me.
I almost
So
wish
he
we
did
had
that for a while.
I almost wish we had done a Godzilla v Midnight Suns thing instead. But then we would have had to set it on Earth, and then we would have had all these "Where are the Avengers?" questions.
Well, I think that's where a lot of our issues are coming in, because on one hand you kind of just want to have Godzilla just like attack the Marvel New York, because that would be really fun to see
Right.
all of the heroes just react to it. But
But
we had that already. That
But it's been
happened.
done. It's been done. The only way you could do that again and make it interesting is if the Avengers are like off in space dealing with something else, and you just have like all the street level heroes having to deal with the Godzilla attack. So like fucking Daredevil and Punisher are in the
And
midst.
Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four are off in space. Yeah, that would be interesting. So yeah, no, I don't know what you do here, man. It's certainly a conundrum. Doctor Strange, though, I think is the toughest one. Submariner, Hulk, even Silver Surfer, I can kind of see easily being able to have them, go toe to toe with Godzilla and have it be a fair fight. But Doctor Strange, it's just like he could do anything.
Right.
Although, sorry, I'm burping a lot. Excuse me, but um, to go back to what I was saying before, what if wow uh what if remember when we were talking about how Doctor Strange could do a spell that would weaken Galactus?
Right.
What if that spell takes so much out of him that he's out of the game for the rest of it, except for like maybe some basic spells? Like maybe he can do
Maybe
some
that
like
was their plan.
restraining spells on Godzilla.
Maybe that was his plan. Maybe his plan was, I'm gonna do this spell to weaken Galactus. It's gonna take everything out of me. But after I do that, yo, Silver Surfer and Hulk, y'all gotta handle this shit. Maybe that was.
Because Silver Surfer can't take on Galactus one-on-one.
Maybe that's the plan. And then Godzilla shows up in the midst of the plan and kind of fucks everything.
That's kind of great. All right, you know what? I really like that. Yeah.
You know what? What if? Because remember, I had the idea of like maybe we have some other cosmic entity like manipulating Galactus from behind the scenes, and maybe that's why Doctor Strange gets involved.
Yeah.
maybe as a consequence of Godzilla popping up in the universe, because remember we were talking before, like there needs to be some sort of huge consequence in this issue. What if, as a result of Godzilla's popping up in the universe, even though Galactus gets defeated, whatever that other cosmic entity wanted to achieve happens? So like because Godzilla shows up and interferes in whatever's going on, Doctor Strange and them kind of fail in their mission, and there's some sort of huge consequence for the Marvel universe as a result.
I would be about that. See, I like the idea of like there being a really complex Marvel scheme going on
Because I
behind.
because that kind of shit happens all the time in Marvel, and
Yeah,
it's the thing.
there's always some cosmic Dylan, it's got to be Thanos. I just want the last page to be Thanos just smiling.
I don't
Like
know.
the last image
I
to
kind
just be Thanos smiling.
I kind of want to do something other than Thanos though, because he's so in the media right now. I kind of
He
want to
hasn't
go
been used as a villain yet, though.
I kind of want to go deeper cuts. You know what I mean? I don't know who
Okay,
I don't
cut deeper, Dylan. Who's the villain gonna be?
I don't know who exactly yet.
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck should be the villain.
I'm looking. Maybe yeah maybe Howard the Duck took like a Scrappy Doo from the Scooby Doo movie turn, and now he's like the ultimate villain of the Marvel universe.
That would be fascinating. I mean, it
That's
wouldn't.
that's a story I want to see. Get on it, Marvel.
Yeah, definitely do something with Howard the Duck outside of put him in a Guardians of the Galaxy cameo.
Maybe it's a
Um.
plot by the Supreme Intelligence.
So Dylan,
Uh,
I'm kind of thinking here of the structure of this story, and I think that that's another thing that we haven't really worked out yet. Do you think that Godzilla should fight the Defenders and then fight Galactus? Fight them all at once? Fight Galactus first? How do you think that should go down? Like,
can you repeat the question?
well, the structure of the story is what I'm asking. Like how should we have things go down? Should Godzilla fight the Defenders first, then fight Galactus? Fight them both at once? Fight Galactus first, then the Defenders? I think it's a little more interesting if he fights the Defenders first, who are weakened from their fight with Galactus. They're all like, "Oh God, we're so tired." He fucks them up, then he moves on, and then he finds the slightly less tired Galactus and fights him. I think that's a little more interesting.
Right.
And have the thing that completely fucks up the Marvel universe and has this villain that you're trying to find and figure out in your encyclopedia,
I'm just trying
have
to
him
think.
win.
I'm just trying to think. Who are your big like cosmic level villains other than Thanos? I know I already suggested Mephisto and Dormammu. Those are definitely still on the table. But I'm just trying to think like who else is fucked up? Didn't there
I want
wasn't there like
Godzilla's mindless fighting to fuck up the whole situation. I think that that's really interesting.
wasn't there a Watcher once who went bad? I feel like that was a thing, but I couldn't even begin to remember the
Are
name.
you thinking? You might be thinking of the Anti-Monitor from DC, though.
I might be thinking of that. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there was an evil Watcher in the Marvel universe
There definitely is.
because Marvel and DC do tend to borrow from each other occasionally.
If you look like that, if you're a big baby-faced bald-headed dude, you're gonna turn bad at some point. Like they all do, you know.
Clearly, the villain should be the Vanisher. No, um,
I
old
think the
school,
villain should be.
old school obscure X-Men villain.
I kind of want the villain to be Big Wheel, you know. Like I want him to get up into space somehow. He's performing some crazy cosmic shit
All right, I'm about it.
in the big wheel of the universe.
Maybe do like an Asgardian villain because the cool thing about Asgardians is they can interact with all the cosmic shit going on because they're technically cosmic as
But
well.
I feel like at that point it should be Loki then, and I don't want to use Loki.
Right. Well, there are other Asgardian villains. It's just that people don't know them very well.
No, but also because that seems like something Loki would do though, manipulating somebody to do his own bidding. You know, like that's a very Loki thing.
True. True.
So that's why I said that.
You have
So I'm just trying to think.
you have a point.
Maybe we should make it a Guardians villain. So what if we had it be like who's a manipulating Guardians villain outside of Thanos?
I love how Werewolf by Night is just listed in the Marvel Encyclopedia as werewolf.
He is a werewolf, and it happens at night. It's not a lie. It's true. The title is absolutely accurate.
Right, right. But why have a werewolf in your universe when you already have Wendigo? It's like a more
They're very different.
it's like
They're
a more
very different though.
it's like a more interesting, just more unique to the universe version of a werewolf in a way.
Yeah, but you got to remember though that they weren't allowed to use werewolves and vampires and all that for a long time,
Right.
and they only introduced them when they could.
I think
So they did
I think it's once that comic code went away, is when Marvel started doing all their Marvel horror shit because they're like,
Yeah, exactly.
we
70s,
have a
yeah.
whole new sandbox to play with, and boy did they. I mean, but they had some horror shit before that, like way back before the code like forbade that, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was very different. It was a lot more like,
Yeah.
again, they could it was specific. They couldn't use werewolves, vampires, and zombies and Frankensteins and all that, and they couldn't use blood or whatever. So they just did like big monster books, you know? They did giant monsters and all that, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby hated doing it.
I'm getting to the end of this book. I'm gonna have to go back to the beginning. I,
Well,
I,
Dylan, we're
I
we're
skipped the beginning before I sort of started in the middle. Is the
we're, we're,
problem?
we're getting we're getting really far in. So,
We are.
as much as I enjoy watching you flip through this book, I feel like there are other things that we should hammer out here. So,
Right.
I don't know, man. I feel like Godzilla should fight the Defenders, wipe the floor with them, then go on to fight Galactus, defeat him, and that fucks up or even helps this villain's plan. I like
Right.
that idea. And I like the idea of Godzilla killing Galactus because I think that if we're gonna have everything get reset anyway, that's a really big dramatic thing that we can kind of end off on, you
Right.
know?
We said early on, hey, we're gonna have a reset button at the end of the series, so we can fuck whatever we want to fuck up. We can fuck it up. And in the last two issues, we've been sort of safe about not fucking things up. I,
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of fucked things up a little bit in the Pacific Rim universe because now those aliens have Godzilla DNA to work with. But even
and could cause a lot more damage.
but even still, it's like everything came out roses in the end.
Everything turned out, everything turned out kosher.
Relatively okay.
So, what's your opinion on the structure, though? How would you like to see the fights break down?
So
Or do you want a big free for all? What do you want, Dylan?
I'm thinking Defenders are fighting Galactus. Doctor Strange does the thing that he's doing to weaken Galactus, and as you suggested, is taken out of the fight as a result. Because I think that's a brilliant taking your OP character. Well, one of your OP characters, because Silver Surfer's pretty OP, but whatever. Taking one of your OP characters and kind of shoving them off to the sideline.
You could have him do like some really simple spells again, like maybe like a laser lasso around Godzilla's mouth. Just be like, ride him, cowboy, like something like that would be fine. But you just can't have him opening interdimensional portals and shit, because that ruins it.
Right. Um,
And that's kind of what his whole power set is based on.
aha! Aaron, the Rogue Watcher.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I hope he
What does he
wasn't.
do?
Hope he wasn't already killed.
Does he go rogue?
Let me read his description here. A young watcher, as such temporal matters as age are measured by that intergalactic race. Aaron eschewed his people's pledge of non-interference in all things, choosing instead to use his great cosmic abilities for his evil enjoyment. He toyed with the lives of the Fantastic Four, replacing them with corrupt duplicates, and later engineered a civil war within his own Watcher race. As Aaron was about to destroy the Fantastic Four, Uatu the Watcher, who was responsible for our section of the cosmos, reluctantly killed him. Damn it! He's dead. He's
Oh, wait, when did that happen?
he's a dead Watcher. I don't know. All I can tell you is that his first appearance was in 1975 in Captain Marvel number 39.
Yeah, no, this is kind of. I mean, that's kind of around when we're gonna set this in the universe, but it's too
Man,
far.
he's dead, man. Fuck.
I
What a
mean, Dylan, we
great
don't
villain. Why would they kill him?
we don't necessarily need a overarching villain. I get why you wanted to do that, but like I feel like we can have some like Galactus wants something. Galactus could be the overarching villain. What does he want? What if
Right.
he wants something very specific? Why hasn't Galactus just destroyed this planet? Maybe he wants something from this planet. Maybe he
Then,
isn't just looking to eat it.
but then again, you got to come up with a reason for why Doctor Strange is going out of his way to come out into space and fight him.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's why I thought, oh, let's have another villain doing a thing. And that's why.
I got it. Doctor Strange preemptively senses Godzilla emerging into their universe on that planet. He has no idea what it is, what's happening. He just knows that some crazy interdimensional thing is going to go down on this planet. And when they get there, Galactus is already in the midst of eating it. He's about to chow down.
Right.
And they decide to intervene and stop him. And he's there. Galactus decides to show up, and you can reveal this kind of sporadically throughout the story. Galactus is there because he sensed a massive energy upkick on this planet, also caused by Godzilla's interdimensional portal, or preemptively sensing it. so he wanted to be there and get in on that energy drainage, you know, when the portal showed up. What do you think of that? Or is that too reachy? Or
So Doctor Strange is aware that Godzilla's coming?
no, he knows that something is going to happen on this planet.
Okay. So it's just a coincidence that Galactus happens to be there.
No, he showed up there too because he also sensed that energy. Because he also sensed that.
Hmm.
But I feel like, do you think that cheapens the novelty then? I don't know, because Galactus is just there to eat.
I feel
He's
like
not there for any other reason.
it might make things a bit convenient, would be my only concern. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then at that point, why does Doctor Strange get the Defenders together? Yeah. All right, so you know what? Let's go back. But Dylan, the problem with the overarching villain then is that it's never going to be resolved.
No, why don't we have a Captain Britain movie? Nationalism in Hollywood. Anyway, go on. What were you saying?
What? What?
There's a Marvel character called Captain Britain. There's no Captain.
I know, but no, it's not that. It's what you said after that, where you were like, "Let's have a Captain Britain movie. We need some nationalism in Hollywood."
No, I was
Dylan,
saying why don't.
Hollywood is in America.
No, I was saying why
We
don't.
made 3 Captain America movies.
What I said was why don't we have one? It must be because of nationalism in Hollywood.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Clearly, they are just against British superheroes. We don't have any. Logan's Canadian. Doesn't count. Anyway,
He also wasn't. Oh no, he was born in Canada in the movies. Okay,
I
never.
guess Charles Xavier is technically English, even though he comes from America, from 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 New England. Okay, so I guess that's kind of
He's from Connecticut, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
He's not British in the comics though.
No, he just has a British accent in the movies for whatever
No,
reason.
he's not. Well, that was because everybody wanted that casting pick, you know.
And so does Eastern European Magneto.
Well, that makes a little sense.
Like you have to imagine that Magneto in the comics must have more of like a I don't know, what country is he from? Is he like Polish or something?
He's from Poland, I think. I don't think he's German. But I think he was raised in England, though. Magneto, I mean. I think. Excuse me.
Ooh, what if
Oh shit, we may have to wrap this up sooner than I thought because I got the hiccups now. That's a problem.
what if
Um,
one of the elders of the universe? Let me look at their article again and see who that is exactly.
great. Let's put him in and know nothing about him.
No, I know
We've
all
done-
about them. It's just that there are different ones, and each of them has a different character, and I have to see if any of them would fit into the mold that I'm trying to construct here.
And I only know them through this book. So
No, he's the fucking champion of the universe. He is what that episode of Dexter's Lab is based off of, when Monkey and all the other Dexter's Lab superheroes fight Rastlor. Um, a similar thing happened in an issue of whatever comic it happened in, where like the Thing was Monkey in that issue. Like he just kept going up against Champion of the Universe even though he couldn't win, and then Champion of the Universe found that like super endearing and like spared the planet Earth. Like it's the exact same plot that they just took
gotcha.
and adapted into an episode of fucking.
That's also the plot of the Battle of Gods movie from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh shit! It is. Coincidence?
No, because Toriyama, because Beerus is also essentially Galactus. So Toriyama was ripping a whole bunch of shit off.
Right. The Collector. He was in fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of the elders of the universe.
Okay.
The Grandmaster. I don't know if you know about.
What if the Collector?
The Grandmaster could. He's always dicking around with people and like doing shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about the Grandmaster. Dylan, what if the Collector wants something that's in the middle of the planet, and he wants Galactus to eat it and get? Ah, nah, that's dumb. Forget I said that. Because Galactus doesn't actually like eat the planets. Like they don't disappear. Like they get sucked into energy.
What's the Contemplator's deal? I take it he contemplates things.
Mm. All right. Well, you know what, Dean? We have a lot established that we didn't before. We know the heroes. We know the villains. We know basically what's going to go down.
Right.
We
We have a pretty good idea now, which we did not have before. So I'd say that this has been a success, all things considered.
Definitely. And you know what, D? I think that this story is very, very Marvel, and I really think that that's the important thing here.
Right.
and that
you want to capture that feel, kind of like what we tried to accomplish with previous issues, with your
and you
attempt
want
to capture the feel of old Toho, and my attempt to capture DBZ. That's sort of the point of each of these issues, is to like kind of capture that tone of whatever universe we're putting him in.
And I think contrasting Godzilla with that is really interesting, because you have this Marvel universe where you have all these over the top sort of morality play characters who are just over the top, kind of dramatic, almost Greek gods type of figures who are very humanized. Oh my god, these hiccups are gonna kill me. Very humanized, given very human emotions. Like Thanos is in love and all that. Very human, very Greek tragedy. But contrasting that with Godzilla, where you have these supremely powerful beings with incredible power, and they don't have any human emotions whatsoever, except for maybe like your base like vengeance and survival instincts and all that. So it would be very interesting to have Godzilla show up there, and he has no personal stake in any of the fighting whatsoever, but he ultimately becomes the threat. I think that that's kind of interesting. So
Right.
I think that'll be interesting to contrast. But you guys tell us. This is an interesting one, because this is also the first one where we can get audience feedback in the comments as we're coming up with the idea.
Right.
So
I really wish that we could do these as like live shows, but we've never been able to make that work. I don't even want to attempt it, because for some reason I just can't get into a Google Hangout. It never works out. And then
no,
every time you do a Google Hangout, it always crashes and shit. Like it's really not worth it.
I only do live shows when I have to these days. Like when I do my Q&As and everything.
the only really great way to do one is like what we did in Chicago.
Yeah, and even that had problems. Even that crapped out a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, but it was just a little bit more convenient because we were all in a room together. Well,
Right.
in a yard together.
On a patio together. And we weren't even all together at once. Kyle wandered off at one point and got lost.
He was gone for like ever.
He was gone for like 45 minutes.
I thought he was dead.
I hoped. Nah. One less seat. Oh, that's funny.
He came back and was like, "I'm fine, guys," and you were like, "Damn it!"
It's like fuck. This is my one chance. Anyway.
Thought I got rid of the fucker.
So hoping for the death of some of my closest friends aside, Dean, I think that is actually gonna do it. Oh my god, these hiccups are getting really bad now. We have to wrap this up now. My hiccups are canceling this episode of Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective. So Dylan, that was fantastic. Pun, because it's Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed it as well.
That was fantastic.
Oh, definitely not that. So guys, please give us some comments down in the comment section as to what you think of our spitballing of this rough concept that we have for issue 4 of Godzilla Odyssey. Godzilla versus Galactus.
I hope everybody's learned something from this. I know one thing I've learned is that I need to get an updated version of the Marvel Comics Encyclopedia, because this is the 2006 edition. Shit's changed.
I think I have one. I think I have one from 2014. I have to look. I'll go take a look after I'm recording.
This is the one I have. I have a DC one from the similar era.
I have one that's red, I think.
Look, Carol Danvers is still Miss Marvel. We're still being slightly sexist at this point.
Right, okay, gotcha. Yeah, we're beyond that at that point.
This is the Ultimate Alliance era.
Yeah,
my favorite.
I just want to say one last thing before we stop recording, because we're talking about Marvel. I prefer her being Captain Marvel, also because she has a way cooler costume than the normal Captain Marvel. She has this helmet that forms around her mohawk that is so awesome.
Wasn't the reason she was called Miss Marvel originally just because she was around at the same time as male Captain Marvel, so they couldn't very well...
Yes, that is the reason.
So they couldn't very well both be called Captain.
Well, she got her powers from Captain Marvel.
Right, and now he's gone, so she's just sort of taken over the role as Captain Marvel.
And it is a lot more interesting.
I kind of hate that they go out of order in the cinematic universe, though. I don't know why. It just bugs me. Like, I heard some people back before Civil War was happening saying, "Oh, we want Miles Morales to be Spider-Man." I was like, "No, fuck you. You have to do Peter Parker first, or I'm walking."
Yeah, well, I feel that.
I'm leaving the franchise.
But it doesn't make you mad that they did fucking Scott Lang Ant-Man first, right? I mean, but Hank Pym Ant-Man exists too, so.
Right. Well, Hank Pym exists as a character in the movie, so it's kind of different. Also, I still haven't seen that movie. I still have yet to see Honey, I Shrunk Paul Rudd, but but
God, Rick Moranis definitely should have been Hank Pym.
also I just give less of a fuck about Ant-Man.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I
The
don't
thing that
really much give a fuck about Captain Marvel either. It just bugs me when they go out of order with shit. I don't know.
the one that it bugs me with is Robbie Reyes being Ghost Rider in Agents of Shield, because if they don't have like a '90s Ghost Rider that was Danny Ketch and a '70s Ghost Rider that was Johnny Blaze,
Oh, then
I'm gonna be pissed.
yeah, because that's the thing about Ghost Rider as a character. It's always been like a generational thing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's fine if they explain that like in the past there were these other Ghost Riders. Do like the fucking Nick Cage movie did. They were like, oh, Old West Ghost Rider, how you doing? But fucking, you can't just not have them exist.
I'm also fine with it because they're all different spirits. Like the original Ghost Rider was Zarathos, the second one was Noble Kale, and then the current one was something really weird. He didn't even have a flaming skull. He had a helmet that turned him into Ghost Rider.
What if Zarathos could be our overarching villain for our Godzilla Marvel thingy?
He does not give a fuck though, so he doesn't give. He was also trapped at that point.
Damn it!
Yeah, they trapped him in a crystal. I
Why
think.
do all the cool cosmic villains either get trapped or killed?
Well, he was either trapped or he was Ghost Rider. So there's only two options.
Which is being trapped in a way.
Ghost Rider came so close to fighting Godzilla too. He was, because Godzilla fought the champions, the real shit, the superhero team that Marvel had in the '70s, which was like Hercules and Black Widow and all that.
Right.
Ghost
Yeah,
Rider
I
was
forgot about
Ghost
that.
Rider was on that team, and in the issue they were like, "Where's Ghost Rider?" And they were like, "Oh, he's off in a movie." And they're like, "Fuck!" So they had to fight Godzilla without him. So that was unfortunate.
What was what was Vengeance's spirit?
The Spirit of Vengeance? No, that was Noble Kale.
That
I
one
don't
was
know. I don't remember what Vengeance's deal was. All I know is that he was like initially Hell's response to Ghost Rider not being on their team, and
also
then
also why do all these random ass demons that get bonded to people by Mephisto or whoever the fuck all happen to look like Zarathos? Why do all the Ghost Riders why are they all flaming skulls?
there
And
was an
why is
explanation.
Old
Well,
West
because
Ghost Rider
because they all fulfill the same they all fulfill the same purpose though.
why is
They're
old,
all collecting souls for Hell.
and why is Old West Ghost Rider just like a guy in a white outfit?
That wasn't Ghost Rider though. That was the Phantom Rider, I think.
I know, but
That's what it's called now.
wasn't it called Ghost Rider originally though?
Yes. Well, that's where they got the name from. They bought the rights to that character and then they created the new Ghost Rider out of it.
Right.
And
Well, they kind of retconned that though in the Nick Cage movie where they made Old West Ghost Rider like an actual Ghost Rider.
no, but those two different things though. There's a Rex Fury Phantom Rider and then there's a Carter Slade Ghost Rider. Carter Slade was the original Ghost Rider, with the white mask.
Yeah.
And then when they retconned it, they made Rex Fury the guy in the mask, and then Carter Slade was the original Old West Ghost Rider. Marvel is confusing and dumb, and I love it. And on that note,
So Bill,
so
Bill, what's Moon Knight's deal?
I actually don't know what I've read one issue of Moon Knight.
Does anybody know what Moon Knight's deal is?
I actually do know. He's a crazy guy. Who has Egyptian mythology powers.
Right. I remember this now. Yeah, he has like schizophrenia. Well, it's meant to be.
He thinks that he is the reincarnated spirit. Fuck it. You're gonna get me explaining this now.
Well,
He's the reincarnated spirit of some
be,
ancient Egyptian dude.
Isn't it meant to be ambiguous as to whether or not he just has schizophrenia or whether or not he actually is like Egyptian?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's meant to be ambiguous.
Yep.
So I guess
but it's heavily implied that he's actually crazy.
I guess it just depends on if you're a glass half empty or a glass half full kind of person.
Exactly. Or if you read the new series, in which it's made pretty explicit that he's at least a little crazy.
They should have kept it ambiguous.
But not. Well, it's not. But it's not because he's reincarnated or not. It's just because of the impact of what he's been through.
Right.
Anyway.
Maybe he's crazy and reincarnated. Did anybody ever think of that?
That's possible. It happens. In reality. D, that is gonna do it for this issue of Godzilla Odyssey Retrospective. Issue 4, Godzilla v Galactus, Dawn of Convoluted Storytelling. D, where's Godzilla going next time?
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Now, we did that already.
Oh fuck! How do we even describe this to the audience?
That is a good question. That's why I had you do it.
Shit.
And also, you wrote the issue, so, or at least you wrote part of it. Well,
Most
first things first. Let's start there.
most of it
We're
actually I'd
back
only
to.
written. I thought I'd only written like half of it, but when I went back and looked at it, I actually had like 3/4 of it done, and it's a super rough draft. So you're gonna have to bear with me. But
No problem. Well, so that's one thing we can start with. You had more of this written than the last two things we've talked about,
yeah,
which only had outlines and a rough concept.
yeah, I was super stoked about this issue, and then it never got finished. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it to the audience without giving too much away. Okay, so this one's technically not a crossover episode
Not at all.
because it's utilizing something from the Godzilla mythos that already exists. This is how I'm going to describe it to you people. Nightmare on Elm Street, but instead of Freddy Krueger, it's Gabra.
And instead of Johnny Depp, it's Godzilla.
Right. And instead of getting sucked into a bed and becoming a blood geyser, other things happen.
That's fucking perfect. Let's leave it there. We'll see you next month, kids. We hope you're looking forward to it, because we certainly are. Be sure to like the Godzilla Odyssey page on Facebook to get that retrospective podcast early. A full 24 hours before it goes up. Or you know what? I'll probably, oh god, these hiccups are killing me. I'll probably just do the same thing for that one that I did for this one. Edit it the night we record it and put it up as soon as it's ready, and then upload it on YouTube at my leisure. So probably just do the same thing next month as well. So like the Godzilla Odyssey homepage on Facebook to do that, to get the next podcast early. And also be sure to like the Sons of Sarazawa Network homepage on Facebook for everything fucking else that we do. So be sure to like those things on Facebook. They're in the description if you want to find them. You can follow me on Twitter at Bill Worster. You can follow me on Facebook at Billy Worster. You could text me in the past, but no, you can't, because I don't have a phone right now. Mine broke today, so I'm really sad.
Well, the general audience doesn't really have your phone number. I would hope not. I mean,
I was about to give it out, but I don't have a phone right now, so it wouldn't do any good anyway. So fuck y'all. So until next time, everyone. I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64. You cannot have my phone number.
No, I'll give it to you though. I'll put it up on the screen like that episode of the Eric Andre Show with Seth Rogen.
If you do, I swear to God, I'm getting a new phone. or at
That's
least
what Seth Rogen. That's what Seth Rogen did.
or at least changing my number and not telling you what the new one is.
Fair enough. All right, kids. We'll see you next time.
It's all Facebook Messenger from here on out.
Good night, everyone.